Dabi X Reader Illegal Visits by You're So Lovely EXE on Wattpad. Go follow them before. Yeah. Dabi was on his way to your house. He didn't care if your parents had a restraining order on him. He would gladly burn them to the ground for all the things they've said to you. He had about a block to go, and he turned a corner and lit his finger on fire to see through the darkness. You lived in a small town, and it was dark since most of the lampposts were out. He continued walking, and soon got rid of the flame. When your house came into view, he studied it before quietly and stealthily going to the back and to your window, which was almost always unlocked for reasons like this. He quietly slid the door open and climbed in. He heard yelling, and he had to stop himself from leaving your room. He wanted to hurt them. He hated them. They reminded him of his own father, and he couldn't think like that, not when you're going to need him the most. Your point of view. You've been arguing with your parents for what felt like hours, when in reality it was only 30 minutes. Your parents were starting to not let you hang out with your friends, afraid you would go behind their back and see Dabi. They had your phone so they could monitor you on it. But they didn't know you had an iPad, which you just said was school property, and that you couldn't download any apps from stores and such. God, why are you so disrespectful? Your father yelled at you, and you flinched at how loud his voice was and how deadly his voice sounded. You were in your last week of being in UA, and you would finally be able to leave this hellhole. You were an adult, and you could care less what your parents thought of you. You've told the teachers about your parents, and they don't know, but your parents would always blackmail you because of you and Dabi. You didn't know how the school would treat that. You've known Dabi since he was little, and you have both been close friends. You knew each other since he was 10 and you were 5. He hadn't faked his death but ran away from his home. He met you on the streets when you had gotten lost and separated from your family. Since then, he's been keeping an eye on you to make sure you're safe. Your father wasn't one to accept boys, not if they weren't to his liking. Your mother thought that they would get in the way of your learning, especially since he was a villain. God, now you're ignoring me. Answer the damn question, your father yelled, and you looked at him. Because I want to live my life. I don't want to be controlled by you. You said quietly as your father just growled and slammed his fist against a wall. Your mother was glaring at you, a wine glass in her hand. Your father glared at you. You swallowed hard. Go to your room before I hurt you, he said, clenching his jaw as you turned and went straight to your room. Your parents never physically hurt you, just mentally. Walking in, you turned and locked the door, not even noticing Dabi. Your heart was racing, and you knew you wouldn't be eating tonight. Turning around, you froze when you saw Dabi. He was mad, and you could tell he was holding himself back. You looked down, not meeting his eyes. He stood up and walked over to you. You were the only person he would protect and show the side to. He gently lifted your head up so you could see your eyes, and he sighed quietly before placing a soft kiss on your lips. He then brought you into his arms. His body was warm due to his quirk. You relaxed and hugged him back. I don't want to live here anymore, you said quietly. Into his chest. You just ran a hand up and down your back. You told the heroes, correct? He asked, and you nodded in response, while I saw Endeavour and Eraser head walking into the town square. They spoke about coming here to take you to the dorms, he said, running a hand through your hair. But my parents, I'll tell them that I'm dating a villain. Then what if? They won't be able to do so because I'll make sure of that, he said, and broke the hug. The heroes will be here in 5 minutes. Be ready to leave, he said, quickly before walking out of your bedroom door. You quickly walked to the door to watch what was going to go down. You already had a suitcase in case you decided to just run away. Dabi put a little tranquilizer in the neck of your father, who wasn't paying any attention. Your mom tried to grab the phone, dropping her wine glass in the process. Well, isn't it a shame making a mess at the scene? He's just passed out for now. But what you can do is keep your dirty little mouth shut for when the heroes arrive, he said coldly to her, and she just scoffed. The floor was made of tile, so he had no problem shooting a little flame by your father's head to get her to cooperate. There was a knock on the door, and you went to open it. Dabi picked your father up and put him in his bed, taking the dart out. Then he went back and kept his eyes on your mother. She was cleaning up the mess when the heroes entered to talk to her. My husband is... She took a glance at Dabi, who had his hand inside the room ready to set it alight with blue flames. He's sleeping. He got drunk and passed out, so I took him to his room with the help of YN, she said, covering it up, and finished cleaning. They had a little talk, and finally you were allowed to leave the hell of a home. During the process, Dabi managed to make it to your room. You gave him a kiss goodbye. You wouldn't be able to see him for a week, but that was okay. You knew you were safe and that you would be happy. That's all that mattered to him, your happiness. And that's the end of that. This was my second time reading this, and it was a struggle to get through, but I managed. Sorry that I haven't been posting in a while. A lot's just going down. I'm dealing with a lot of stress and stuff. Anyways, bye. I hope you guys enjoyed this.